giant bull at one point, but he would work for today. Came in and raked a tree, stuck behind some really thick stuff. Finally, he stepped out and only showed me his head, but he was 31 yards. And then he just turned right back around and slowly walked off. Never, ever saw his vitals.
Oh my gosh, that was a nice bull. He was about 43 yards from me. But all I could see was the top of his rack, and his royals were freaking huge. What did you just tell me, Jason?
He started walking right at me. Right there, baby.
Well, good morning, guys. This is the start of day 2, and everyone is tuckered out. We worked really hard yesterday and learned a lot about this area. The good news is we did get into elk, and we heard elk, and everybody in camp actually saw an elk, which is much better than I can say for some hunting seasons. So we're kind of stiff and tired this morning, moving a lot slower than we did yesterday. We're planning to hunt much easier today because yesterday we went up and down ravines and chasing those bugles, trying to get the wind right, went up and around to get above them to get the wind right, and it's just rugged up here. Those elk were right here. They went up that.
What, those 8?
Yeah.
Bull elk.
Unfortunately, just jumped a bull elk, like a small 6 or a 5 point. He was probably about 60 yards when he spooked. This is the same exact spot where we saw those 8 cows yesterday. He was all by himself.
All right. Jason and I took a slow morning, relaxed a little bit, drank a nice full cup of coffee, and we're gonna break camp at early hour of 8 a.m. Other boys are already out in the field checking out out in the woods, so we'll go see if we can find up some new country today. Found a couple nice parks this morning. It's got a really nice view. can also glass the avalanche chutes. So, gonna hang out here this morning and see if we can see anything. Guys, yesterday Josh spotted a wallow. I'm down here setting up on it for the first half of today. It looks like it's got a lot of views. We just saw a doe and 2 fawns, like 5 yards from it. Looks like it's been hit pretty hard, a lot of tracks. This extra one over here, looks like something was in it this morning because the mud's still rising in the water. The ground's all tore up. So, looks like it might be a good place to spend some hours. Mud on this stick, 20 yards from the wallow. Looks like a bull tore up this whole dead log. Just make sure I can drop my bow from this position. Now I need is an elk. Finally all set up. And I got a nice view of this other ridge. All under 50 yards. There's a nice game trail coming down to the stream. And then there's my view up to the wallow. All my shooting lanes are cleared now. And most importantly, hot coffee and snacks and a comfortable seat to sit on. Now just chill in the forest for like 3 hours. It's gonna be pretty awesome just to sit here. Beautiful day. Today. Stay here for about 2.5 hours after I got it set up. Other than 2 camp robbers, a bunch of squirrels, got to see a cool pine marten, some footage of that. Gonna head back to camp and have lunch. And I've got a train wreck right by my cot where I downsized my bag. I need to clean up that mess a little bit. But it sure was peaceful sitting here for that long. Well, we had a nice morning set. Nothing came through our parks, no answers to our calls, but still a beautiful day in the woods. I did spot up 2 elk feeding out on one of these avalanche chutes over here. That kind of gave me some entertainment. They were right there, hanging out, feeding for a while. But it's a nice little park, lots of sign. We'll go explore some new country.
Here's our camp water source, guys, coming right out of the ground. They got a pipe that goes up underneath there in this little spring. It's flowing good today.
Try out the bows, keep up the confidence, make sure they're shooting right.
Guys, we're headed out for the afternoon hunt of day 2. I'm going to go check out that wallow blind. Sit there, the one I built this morning. We're going to spread out to that whole area. Since we saw some of the elk there yesterday, and even this morning we saw that bull. Wish us luck. Back in my little blind that I built this morning. And it's about 3:30, so we'll see here about 3.5 hours probably. And hopefully something comes in. I also put out that scouting camera, game camera, and got it pointed right there at those two little water holes that are right there. So hopefully at least if nobody's here, we'll be able to see what's hitting this place.
Set up for an evening hunt. Watching this little section of a park. Got Dale and Jason below me, and Joe and Jim are up on the ridge behind us. So hopefully one of us sees an elk tonight, gets an opportunity for a shot.
So Jim has so graciously made homemade bread for us. We've got it in a Dutch oven right now. Got some coals on the top, fire down below. And in about 45 minutes we'll have bread. You want to take a peek?
Oh yeah. We're really roughing it 4 miles from civilization. Alright guys, here's a slice of the bread that they cooked. Get the light just right. Looks like it came out really nice. Baked bread at 10,200 feet. Well, good morning everyone. It's the start of day 3. Yesterday we took it a little bit easier, much easier than the first day. But the elk action was a lot slower than yesterday.
Somewhere. Further in. It's good though. It's probably our bull.
Let's go get him. Guys, we got a bull that just chuckled right above us after we bugled and did a couple cow calls. So we're doing a setup now. Got the wind perfect. I'm down about 50 yards. Josh and Jason are starting to get set up. nice bull. He was about 43 yards from me, but all I could see was the top of his rack, and his royals were freaking huge. I think he's smart enough to just go and cut down, maybe got our wind, and kind of circled back that way. Kind of heard him going off. We had intensified the cow calling, and I heard sticks breaking like his interest again, but I haven't heard anything since, so I'm going to try to pick him up again. That was fun. Their wind's going almost right to him. I can hear him walking. Alright guys, we decided to let this bull settle down just a little bit. We never heard him go away or anything. He just kind of moseyed on down. So we're having a little snack. Just kind of letting him calm down a little bit. We'll figure out what the wind's doing and try to come up with a game plan. Because he seems pretty responsive to calls. Josh had him within about 60 yards with no shot. Jason had him with about 70 yards. Also no shot, but that was very exciting.
Man, this is how you get him. Yeah, this is cool. What did you just tell me, Jason? So he started walking right at me. Glad I got that out of him.
For me is when he was 70 and he got behind the brush, I should have moved down. I should have gotten more aggressive, but I was afraid that he was going to spook and blow out of there. But, you know, if he couldn't see me, he was interested. So I should have moved. I should have gotten more aggressive and moved down.
I agree. I think he hung up in that brush, and that's what I was. You were closer to him initially than I was, and I could see that he was pretty hung up. And if he can't see you most of the time, if you can't see him most of the time, he can't see you. So I felt comfortable getting a tree in between him and me, and I snuck up to about 60 of where he was at, and still he just never presented a shot. But I agree. I think if they hang up and they're kind of in some thick brush and that their head's behind a tree, try and cut 20, 30 yards.
If I could have got 20 yards farther when he came back through that opening, I'd have had a 40-yard shot.
Yep.
So you would have had a muzzleloader shot today, right?
Yes. I had him at 70 yards broadside.
Getting close.
Can't ask for much more than that.
How far are we shooting, Jason?
80. Oh!
Drilled it.
Yeah.
Nice shot.
Sorry, Josh, I tipped the bag over.
You guys always make it difficult on me.
Dale.
All right, Dale. Nailed it. Still a little to the left, but you hit it. Good job.
80 yards. Woohoo!
Nice.
3 in the bag.
At least left it standing up for me this time.
That was flirting with it.
It's so hard because I can't literally. I put my bubble on the target.
Yeah.
I can't see
Yeah,
the
I
target.
can't see the target. Ooh, I think I launched a little over it.
Yeah.
Fun stuff though. Good way to pass the afternoon. No rain.
My name's Jason Cruikshank. I'm from Decorah, Iowa. Grew up hunting whitetail, and I've been off and on hunting elk since 1997, 1998, somewhere in there. Took a few years off, got married, had kids, but back now. I'm 52. I think what I like most about elk hunting is kind of living the stories of my dad and his buddies. Traveling from Iowa, coming out to Colorado, and hearing all the stories about being in the mountains and how hard it is. And for me, it's the challenge, it's the love of archery, it's hearing the animal, hearing, you know, all the noises and the bugles that elk make, and, you know, just the habitat they live in. It's so hard and difficult for them, and it's hard and difficult to hunt them. So for me, it's the challenge. That's why I'm here.
Awesome. What are you looking forward to on this hunt?
I've already kind of experienced it with the day we had 3 bulls coming into our calls where you could, you know, see them, you knew they were there. You know, all the stuff that we practice on and visualize in our head of what's going to happen, it kind of happened. And, you know, we're still learning. We don't know all the tricks of the trade, but we certainly are doing more of the right things this year than we ever have. So it's been pretty awesome.
Awesome. And here comes the rain.
Yep, I'm going to
Woo!
What happened today?
Oh man, today was fun.
Today was awesome.
We were hoping by getting super remote that we'd have more encounters with being able to call elk in, and elk will be more vocal. And we had 3 in a row today, one after another. Just after first light, we came in and we had a faint bugle answer, so we thought it was a little bit further away. We were right in the middle of our setup. Dale dropped back to call for me and Jason to be the shooters up front, and we were trying to position ourselves on this ridge line, but we were halfway up a cliff to get to it and heard timber break in front of us and had to freeze literally mid-stride on the cliff, and the bull was right on top of us. The first thing he did is he started raking the tree, just destroyed it. And then I'm slowly trying to put my GoPro camera on, so hopefully I can get some footage of that, and trying to keep from losing my balance, and then finally get to a place where I try and decide how am I going to position my feet on a cliff where I could actually pull back my bow and have a good shot. Ranged a couple trees on either side. He came into an aspen grove, and he just stayed in that aspen grove for, felt like an eternity, but it was probably 3 or 4 minutes. And then after about 3 or 4 minutes, he just poked his head out, turned around and looked at me and Jason. You could just see his jawline. That was all you could see that poked out. And he looked, and he didn't see, I don't think he saw me or Jason. He was just looking, didn't see a cow, and just turned around and trotted off. So we kind of backed down off that cliff and thought, you know, we didn't do anything wrong. And the wind was perfect. It was blowing downhill, so we thought he just didn't see a cow, and he came in super fast, and then we rolled right into the next experience.
About 31 yards, you said, right?
31 yards is where I ranged the tree where he poked his head out. So that'd have been should be a done deal if you would have took him one more step. But
Yeah, I would say we got caught with our pants down.
yep,
Because I was almost behind you. I didn't have a shot unless he broke downhill.
yep.
So,
I'm precarious, man. Like I was, my feet were together on an itty bitty little ledge, and it was like, how in the world am I pull my bow back? So, and then right after that, we kind of came back down the hill and thought, well, maybe we'll circle around and get on the other side of what we were trying to cross on the cliff and call out him a little bit more because he wasn't super spooked. He just didn't see any elk, so he just kind of backed out. So we're getting set up for that. Me and Dale trade spots. Dale was the caller initially, so I dropped back to start calling, and we're focused due east on this ridge, calling into this basin, and not too long into the calling sequence, another bull came in walking straight towards me, and I could see Dale moved up to get into position, so I dropped back to try and get out of sight and start trying to pull him more to Dale, and so that was interesting that in trying to relocate the first bull, we called in a brand new one. We had heard him earlier, and again, sounded pretty distant, far away, so he had covered a lot of ground to come get to us. And then I went back, and every stick I picked up to trying to rake would snap, and I finally found a good one and just beat the living snot out of a tree and bugled a whole bunch, and I guess that worked because I think, Dale, you got to see him get on a ridge line and walk up pretty close to you, right?
Yeah, he came in, he's about probably 38 yards from me, and I could see his rack, and he was pretty impressive. And if he would have taken about 5 more steps, more to the right, probably would have been all over. But he did the same thing. I think he just didn't see the elk that was making all the noise, and he got frustrated, and he kind of moaned, and he was panting. I could hear him breathing. Saw his rack, and then I kind of heard him kind of working his way away, did a few soft bugles as he was leaving the territory.
Well, so we kind of have a new strategy on our triangle setup. If one comes in at a different angle, we just need to rotate the triangle, and whoever's furthest away needs to start calling. But so then we pushed forward a little bit further on this flat we were on, and a couple days earlier we had heard some elk on the other side of the ridge. So we're kind of anticipating that might happen again. That was kind of our original plan, was to relocate those elk on the opposite ridge and try and push up from below before the wind shifted. So we kind of went back to that plan and went in, and we did a locate bugle expecting to hear something across the canyon. And lo and behold, we got surprised again. One answered maybe 100, 125 yards away from us, and the wind's blowing right at him. And we kind of like, oh, what do we do now?
Yeah.
There's not much of a setup here. Dale dropped back, and me and Jason moved forward, and I think you got the best show on that one, Jason.
yeah, I mean, I saw him walking right toward us. He was down in the bottom. And I had him at about 70 yards. And he came out, turned to his left, and went behind some aspens. And that's when I should have moved forward. I should have made up some ground on him, because he ended up going through those aspens, working to his left, and then he turned and came back. And when he came back through, he was at about 60 yards broadside to me, and I just needed to make up some ground on him. That's all.
You could have probably gotten a rifle shot on him, but
Muzzleloader shot for sure.
Yeah. I was to the right of Jason. I got to see, you could see his antlers when he moved, and it looked like he was pacing back and forth almost. Again, I think he was doing what the other bull was doing. He was trying to visualize, get a visual on what he was hearing. And because we were a little bit surprised by it, we would probably typically have Dale be further back. I tried to push it a little bit and close some distance to get. I got to about where I saw a 60-yard lane if he would have come through, but he always stayed covered up and then went straight away from us. So, and then after that, we bumped a couple cows and kept running into elk. It was a fantastic morning with lots of encounters. So we're encouraged that there's a lot of elk in here and that they actually respond and they They come in right now pretty silent, so we got to get our A game. But they're being responsive. Don't think they've heard it up yet, because we've seen cows by themselves and bulls by themselves, and not necessarily seen them together just yet. So we got a whole week left, and the rut's just starting to really pick up. So
We are learning a lot.
Tom Joe, one of them.
All right, guys, this has got to be a record for this 10,200 foot drop camp that we're in. We have a Dutch oven, and these guys came up and made a blueberry cobbler and cooking it with the coals of the fire. We are really roughing it tonight.
Oh, so good. Does it taste okay, the dough?
yeah.
So I guess we winged it, huh?
Well, we winged the recipe.
Good.